So this last week I was at like a leadership training program where the city council member from Rapid City, South Dakota, it's like a tourist town where Mount Rushmore is at in the Black Hills. And he was talking about how he's young and is on the city council and how he got there. And one of his stories was he moved around a lot. He went to like 10 different schools when he was young. And so that kind of got him in the habit of, trying out for things. He tried out for the student council, for the secretary treasurer position, not knowing anybody in the school, but it was kind of his way of like, getting to know people and having an excuse to talk to new people, and just try to fit in. And he was talking about that experience, in kind of in a real negative way. Like his mom had a substance abuse problem, and so she was the reason why they were moving around from school to school, state to state. It sounds like just drugs and being with different guys, just kind of led to a volatile childhood for this guy. And he turned out well from what I can see. I don't know him, but real funny guy who's ambitious and doing well. But it made me think about the fact that my kids have moved around a lot because of the divorce that their dad and I went through. So I started writing out all the changes that my kids have gone through. They're 8 and 9 years old, and they are on their 10th home. We've been in Boy Scouts, well, my son has. My daughter took a year of dance and then another year of dance at a different ballet or dance company. We've done figure skating. We've had 2 different piano teachers, had a dozen different churches, language classes, football, 4-H, reading clubs, taekwondo. They've been homeschooled. They've been to 5 different elementary schools. They've lived in 2 different states, 3 different cities, and they're on their 10th home. And when I wrote that all down, I was just really embarrassed and I felt like I was a bad mom. Like I failed. I was like, what am I doing to my children? Like, I don't think of myself as unstable, but those facts show that I'm not very stable. Some of the activities or places were not very long. It may have just, we didn't do football very long, for example, and maybe one of the elementary schools they were only in for a day or two, but it's still change. And yeah, I just feel like that was not how I envisioned our family to go at all. I wanted to, all I wanted to do growing up was be a mom like my mom was and have a family like I grew up in. And I wanted to be a good wife and a good mother. And to me, that meant staying, maybe not in the same home, but having a very stable life, like having a church family, being married to their dad forever, and doing like the American dream where they start gymnastics when they're 4 and then they grow up and get a scholarship, you know, when they're ready to graduate to go to a good college. And yeah, all those dreams sort of were, I don't want to say destroyed because that sounds really bad, but that they really just went out the window when I filed for divorce. And I feel kind of guilty about that. When I filed for divorce, I knew it was going to be a rough ride, but I didn't anticipate how much change it would be for my kids. And a lot of it, I mean, I couldn't have controlled, um, because just because of different circumstances, mostly lack of money on my part. And their dad is just really made it difficult. So a lot of changes happen because of that, which I'm sure you can relate to. I hear that a lot. So Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why we did all those changes, but just because it's justified doesn't mean that it's good for my children. So, on the activities side, it was also because their dad, we had kind of different opinions about what our kids should be doing. He was in the camp where he saw kind of the typical American lifestyle where, the mom is running, the boy and girl to two different sports every evening, going to two different places, serving the supper in a crock pot or going through the drive-through line and not eating dinner together and just being on the go from the time school is out until 8 or 9 o'clock at night and not really seeing each other, spending quality family time together. And he didn't want that for our kids. Like he was much more interested in having kind of like farm life for the kids where they grew up, cutting wood or, feeding the horses or um, having that sort of more quiet lifestyle. And I like that lifestyle too, but I knew that once I got divorced, like the quiet farm life is not going to be an option for me. So I adopted a more of a city lifestyle and um, we live in town and so I kind of moved into that frame of mind and I wanted them to try different things and find out which sports they were interested in because they didn't really like neither of my kids really felt strongly about, oh, I want to play basketball, mom, or like I for sure want to do piano, mom. So I kind of went through um, different activities to find out what they were interested in, but mostly what their dad would be okay with. Because a lot of it encroached on his custody, his schedule time. And, if they don't show up for sports or they don't participate, they can't stay in them. So I needed to have his agreement on most of these things. So, that's an example of how some of the reasons why they kept changing things. And most of those changes, especially like the changing of schools and the changing of city and states, happened because of the divorce. And within the first 3 years, where like I had no money, I was living with my parents. God bless them. Just like not what, I just felt homeless. Like I don't have a place to go to of my own. Um, so most of those major changes happen within the first 3 years, but things have settled down since then. I've been in the same house now for 3 years and I feel really proud of that. Like, wow, I'm giving my children stability finally. So, it may not be like the perfect place, but I like that it's to me right now it's important to give my kids stability. Like I don't want to go upgrade or change locations um, because of that reason. Like I just don't want my kids to go through another change. And then on their dad's side, they've also gone through change. So I'm just really focused right now on no more change for my kids. I want to be the steady rock for them. Um, But on the bright side, I think like that city council member in Rapid, his name's Jason, he's really great. What Something that he said good that came out of that experience from moving around so much is that he was really willing to like um, go outside his comfort zone to like I don't want to say network. You're not networking as an 8-year old, but to make friends and to make things work and to not just be marginalized. Like he chose to get outside his comfort zone in order to make his life better, despite like his kind of unfortunate circumstance of constantly being the new kid or the kid with no friends. So I think that's going to happen for my kids too. Like both his dad and I are, very loving to them and encouraging them. And I think that they've become resilient from that. And so I'm hoping that they kind of turn out to have a little bit more grit, like this Jason, the city council guy. Um, and they will look at it not as a victim, but like look at it as a tool that kind of refine their character and push them to go farther than maybe what they would have if they had a cushy, stable life. So at least that's what I'm telling myself. But yeah, I mean, no kid has it perfect. Like I try to remind my kids that when they ask me like, why are you and dad divorced? Or like, why is this way? I just try to remind them that nobody has it perfect. Behind closed doors, you don't know what's going on in families, and what's going on behind closed doors in my kids' family is that they are very loved and there's no fighting, there's no manipulation. They are loved and they're going to thrive, even though they are not part of like a traditional family. So we're just doing the best with the cards that we're dealt. So with that, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and sign up for my newsletter. It's on divorceowl.com/opt-in. And keep your chin up because you are an overcomer.